This skill is wound packing, utilizing your Z-Fold gauze. This is typically used for compressible hemorrhages. So areas that you can't get a tourniquet or a pressure dressing on, such as high in the armpit, closer to the neck, the pelvis, and the groin, or you can't use other means of hemorrhage control. The whole concept with wound packing is to create pressure inside of the actual injury, because that's what's going to compress that blood vessel and stop the bleeding. So when you open up your Z-Fold, the first thing you want to start with is a nice ball to jam in there and initiate your pressure inside of that wound. When able, if you can actually get your finger inside of the injury and figure out where the pulsating blood is coming from, that'll help guide that initial ball that we made. And now you're going to simply, one for one, pack this entire wound cavity up with gauze. Remembering that you want to get as much of this gauze as you can inside of that cavity, because the end of our goal is creating pressure inside of that cavity. Once you've gotten all the gauze inside of that cavity, we must provide direct pressure for 3 minutes to get complete blood control. If you run into a scenario where you've utilized a complete package of your Z-Fold and you need to get into your second package, just make sure that as you're packing, you take the time to go ahead and connect the 2 rolls of gauze together. Nothing fancy, just to make sure that this is one continuous strand of gauze. And then once I get that connected, now I can continue my packing evolution until I get all of this gauze packed into that wound and we have enough pressure to control bleeding. The reason being why we want one continuous strand is that this gauze is a temporary means of hemorrhage control. So this patient is going to end up needing a higher level of care, and they're going to have to remove this gauze that we put in for this injury. So we want to make sure that they take it out, everything comes out when they remove it, such as this. And keep in mind, when we wound pack, we never want to remove gauze that we've already put in the wound, because we never know if we've had a small clot form as we begin that wound packing phase. We don't want to remove any clots that might have formed underneath that gauze. So it's really important to just continue packing gauze in until we get enough pressure inside of that cavity that it stops the bleeding.